Hello Taurus friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Taurus May 2022 Astrology Must-Knows Horoscope Forecast. This is for you if Taurus is your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign, or any other Taurus placement that you watch for. And if you're a very late degree of Taurus, so we'll say May 15th through the rest of the sign or 23 degrees to the rest of the sign, then I recommend that you additionally watch my Gemini or listen to my Gemini report because you very late degree people will benefit from both the Taurus and the Gemini report. Definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com. That's the interface for all the free goodies I make for you each month. These videos are very, very comprehensive and I put a lot of work into them, but they're not the only thing that I offer you. I do have written horoscopes and all kinds of other things, so you can see that at anniehelpsyou.com. If you're a YouTube subscriber, then you can click on the more button with the little arrow underneath the video to reveal the notes, so that if you forget that link at the end of the video, you can always go back and find it. If you're listening through my syndicated podcast, Astro Kisses, you can look in the notes underneath the podcast. This week, I am celebrating 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I want to take the time to thank you all very much for that, because obviously I could not reach that milestone in my work without you. And I am doing it all for you. So this is very exciting for me. I've been working for you all for, I've been an astrologer for 20 years, but I've been on YouTube for 10 years. And this is really fun for me and very fulfilling. And so I really thank you for your kind words and your support over these years. Or if you're new to my channel, then welcome to you all as well. And I look forward to bringing you lots more goodies. Okay, so what do we have in store in May? We've got birthdays for Taurus, the sun crossing over your Taurus placement, even if it's not your birthday. We've got the lunar eclipse, and of course that eclipse cycle is in the Taurus Scorpio eclipse cycle, so y'all are in the hot seat, so we'll talk more about that. We've got the tides turning back in with Mercury retrograde, also featuring your sign. It's going to be retrograde partly in Taurus, so especially those last few degrees. We've got strong Pisces energies that are continuing to make a nice angle for you, giving lots of opportunities, including two aspects with Jupiter that can give once in a lifetime opportunities. So we'll talk about that, as these aspects are quite rare and it can definitely bring once in a lifetime energy, especially to certain areas of your chart. And we've got strong Aries energies coming through. These are some points of conflict which are totally mutable into, or changeable into, alchemy. You can use alchemy to change these into gold, basically. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about this very big change of Jupiter moving into Aries and what that can bring for you over the next year. So the first big must know is that we have, again, almost double the sweet aspects compared to the salty ones this month. If you're not familiar with that terminology, it's something that I use often. Sweet aspects are the ones where the stars are in harmony. They're communicating and getting along very well. The salty ones are the ones where they're not so much, and we don't have that many of those this month. If you want a write-up of all the sweet and salty aspects, what they are and what effects they may bring, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, because I do a report and you can access the archives for the ones that I've done already when you're a member of my email community, and you get lots of other perks for being a member there as well, which is free. Okay. So let's take this piece by piece. Let's talk about birthdays first, and let's also talk about what happens before birthdays. Before the sun crosses over your sun, if it's your birthday in Taurus and you have a solar return, or before the sun crosses over your Taurus placement, you have a flooding of energy in the 12th house. We've talked about this before. I talked about it in April. It's very common to feel more anxious, old patterns coming up, fears, addictions, anxiety, coming up in the time before your birthday or before the sun crosses over your placement. And that's because this 12th house is the house of the unconscious mind, and things get very stirred up in there. Sometimes people will start to party before their birthday, and a lot of times this is avoidance of the issues that are coming up. So I like to recommend that instead of escaping, you deal with some of these things. And the reason is because the universe is giving you a beautiful opportunity in the weeks before your birthday or the sun cross over your placement, in that it's showing you some things you don't want. It's showing you the things that are standing between you and the things that you want. Okay, so it's very valuable information on the path of a seeker to find the things that are standing between you and your dreams and your goals, right? And this is a time when those things can make themselves very apparent. So be on the lookout, and you can have sudden insights into what could be creating those blocks, and also support as to what you can do about them. All right, so that's happening. So happy birthday to those of you who are going to have your birthdays, and definitely make your wishes, write them down and say them out loud and feel them as if they've come true. And that will help you to manifest with your beautiful birthday powers. Now, those of you who are having the sun cross over a Taurus placement different than your sun, so it's not your birthday, it's another Taurus placement, you all can benefit from this intention setting and this energy of rebirth as well. Okay, so let's talk about the energy of the tides turning in. This is very important, and this is one of the centers of my teaching, which has to do with understanding the personal planets and their direct motion and their retrograde motion. The personal planets are Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and when they are direct, we are in an easier, have an easier time planning, we have more clarity, we have more launching points, meaning what we do has more oomph and longevity behind it. Always imagine that tide rolling in. If you throw the message in the bottle out and the tide's coming in, it's going to come back to you. So things that you throw out tend to come back to you in the retrograde time. So all of May and the first half of June this year, anything you toss out is going to come right back to you. Now, if that happens to be something that you're just playing with, or something you're experimenting with, or something you just don't have a high consequence, or that it's meant to be short term, then perfect. If it's something that you're editing or, have in beta that you're just like, okay, I want this to come back, I want the feedback, I want the information, then this is a perfect time to do things like that. But if it's something that you want to launch far and wide without having to paddle against the tides, those things are better done when we don't have personal planet retrogrades or their shadow periods, which in this case is March 3rd through April 27th, and then again from June 18th through August 21st. These are the windows that we have left free of personal planet retrogrades, because then we have Mars shadow retrograde happening starting the end of August into beginning of September. We've got Mercury retrograde happening again, and they're all fine. They're just not the big launching far and wide energies. It's also harder to make long-term agreements. Long-term purchases sometimes are troubled in the retrogrades because they have more of a short-term nature. Okay, it's not always, there are exceptions, but it is important to know. And regarding agreements and purchases, you might not have all the information. Like there was a time that I was looking for houses. I was looking for a house in the time before Mercury was retrograde, but by the time I found what seemed to be the perfect one, Mercury was in retrograde. And of course, my husband and I know very well how this goes. We're like, okay, we're going with the flow because it seems like it's perfect, but we know that there's something to find out here, right? And so the realtor was looking out for us and said, I think you really need to do, they were not my realtor, it was the other realtor, the other person's realtor, the seller. And they're like, kind of like hinting, it's really important for you to get that septic, what's it called? Not a study. Gosh, I lost the word. A septic inspection, okay? And, usually you don't have to do things like that. That's an extra fee. It was hundreds of dollars, and, it's not necessary to get a loan. But he's like, you should get the inspection. So I spent the money on it, and it turns out that the house would have been condemned because the septic tank was in such bad shape. It would have been so expensive to fix it, and it wouldn't have been livable if I would have made that purchase. And that is a very good example of the literally crap that could be under the surface when you're trying to enter an agreement in a retrograde time, that there is stuff under the surface that might not smell very good once you start to figure out what it is. And you need to be aware of that. So if you have to make an agreement in May or the first half of June, try to avoid long-term binding contracts and instead go for a bridge agreement, one where you make a little flexible agreement for 6 weeks with the intention to reevaluate or something like that. Or something that has a lot of ways to get out on your end if it turns out information comes. And definitely keep probing and do your due diligence, because there are things to find out. especially with an eclipse in Scorpio also happening at the same time. Okay, so this time lends itself to shorter term, experimental, casual things, and you want to leave your schedule as clear as possible in May and first half of June, because retrogrades have a beautiful effect of last minute magic. Hey, can you come do this? Hey, do you want to go to this concert with me? Hey, do you want to go on this trip? Hey, do you want to take advantage of these free tickets that I have because I can't use them? Those kind of things are more likely to happen. And if you're super scheduled, it's going to be harder for you to say yes when the goodies come rolling in. All right, so a word to the wise hopefully is sufficient. Certain things you have to plan, but try to plan in pencil and let everyone know it, because that will reduce the stress when you have to change the plan. And it will reduce your stress when someone comes and changes their plans with you, because you knew ahead of time, because I'm telling you that there's a good chance that any plans made in May or the first half of June are going to change. If they work out, they might get called into question before they work out, leaving some stress, okay? So that's that. So the official tide turning in is from April 27th through June 18th. The next big open window of pushing out is from June 19th through August 21st. That's the last open window we'll have for this year. And the official retrograde is May 10th through June 3rd. But those times before and after are still relevant because they're the shadow periods that are just as affected. Okay, so let's see what we want to talk about right now. Let's talk about the lingering Pisces placements. We've had a long period of time where personal planets and also Jupiter have been in Pisces, which has made a really great aspect for you. So you've had lots of opportunities coming from the stars, lots of friendships, acquaintances, networking opportunities, chances for you to enhance your internet presence, chances for you to get involved in groups that you feel passionate about and lend your creative faculties to a bigger vision and work on a team with people. And so those things have had a lot of blessings, and we are at the tail end of that. So as the month goes on, all of those planets are going to move out of Pisces, and we're going to move into Aries. Okay, so just know that you've got some kisses left. Those of you who are in the later degree spectrum, you've got some more kisses coming. And those of you right at the very end of Taurus, the last couple of days, you'll have another round of kisses from Jupiter at the end of the year when it goes into retrograde in those last couple of degrees. Anyone who is a May born, you're still going to get your kiss from Mars this month. And if you are an April born Taurus, you're getting your kiss from Mars in April. Okay, so everybody's getting it. It's just a matter of when it's staggered. And what does a Mars kiss mean? A Mars kiss means opportunities, first of all, because it's a 60-degree angle, meaning you might have to activate the opportunity, and it could seem to fizzle away and turn into nothing if you don't do something with it, first of all. Second of all, the relationship to Mars is ambition, support, oomph, stamina, inspiration regarding anything that you want to get done. Okay, so Mars kisses are really great in that way. They can be super productive, and I know that Taurus people love to be productive. So you've got a chance to get things off of your list. And with the retrograde energy, there could be this pile up of all these things you've been wanting to get done. So rather than trying to do these new things and launch these new initiatives and try to push all this stuff out there, if you go to your old list of, oh, I have to fix that thing on the house. Oh, I have to, deal with this. Oh, my kids need this. And you can use these Mars kisses to go through your checklist and get all of this space freed up around you. And that's what this energy is going to be very much about, is freeing up space and stagnation in your field, all right? And you have a lot of support to do that now. Okay, so as the planets move into Aries, we talked about how the 12th house is going to be affected, so we don't have to address that now. And we will talk about Jupiter later, okay, because that's going to be a year, but we'll get to that. Let's talk about the lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Scorpio now. So, as we talked about before, Taurus, Scorpio, y'all are in the hot seat. The hot seat means the eclipses are targeting you for dramatic transformation, major hellos, major goodbyes, major clearing up of karma in a short amount of time, karma that you've had your whole life, karma that you've been carrying with your ancestry through patterns or genetic mutations or expressions of, Maybe there's depression that runs in your family. You can have instantaneous healing through a new modality or an awareness. Maybe you have some other kind of health or other ailment that you've been carrying around for a long time, or a pattern in a relationship, or a pattern just with your behavior or something can be evaporated in an instant. So this is very exciting. And there is a strong focus on relationships, relationship patterns, codependency, fears of intimacy, fears of dependency. All of these energies are coming up to be addressed that can help improve your relationships. But you might see some endings in your relationships. Now, that could either be you're saying goodbye to somebody who was very important to you in a work context, in a friendship context, in a romantic context, or it could mean that you reach a crossroads, you work it through, and because you work it through, you get to the next level of intimacy with that person, and you open a new chapter with that person, and the goodbye is just the goodbye to the old segment of what you were working with, okay? So that is I've seen that manifest a lot. But your relationship sector is definitely in the hot seat. Now, to understand this better, I suggest that you search for, on YouTube, Botticelli eclipses in Scorpio, and watch the video, and you can see all of the other ways, because there are a lot of things that I'm not getting into here because we have so many other things to cover, of how I've seen this manifest with shared resources, money, deep finances, even lotto and sweepstakes and things like that. So you can check that out. Also, and it's on the eclipse playlist on my homepage as well. Also look for eclipses in Libra, Botticelli eclipses in Libra, because this is happening in the whole house chart in your 7th house, which is the house of Libra. Now, those of you who are 11 degrees or on from in the Taurus spectrum, or are May-born Tauruses, I also recommend that you watch my eclipses in Virgo, because in the Placidus chart, that's going to be set back into that chart, that sign before, for the eclipse influence. And so you could feel it in the 6th, the 7th, or the 8th, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. Those are the multiple layers of how this eclipse will affect you. So just search for Botticelli eclipses in Virgo, and that will give you a really good comprehensive coverage of the ways that you can see these eclipse energies come in. Now, for the Taurus eclipse, I talk about that in the April report, okay? One other thing I want to mention about the Scorpio eclipse is that it's at 25 degrees, which means that those of you in the late degree spectrum, so from 23 degrees to the rest of the sign, so that's like May 13th through the rest of the sign, and the closer to May 18th you are, the more you're in the hot seat for the changes from this eclipse. This is, going to be more pronounced for you all right? And this is an opposition. It's a 180 degree angle. So it's really things coming to a head in your relationship space. Other people's use of power, maybe not in the right way, you finding your power, you finding your voice, you figuring out where to draw the line in the sand that you're not going to put up with anything anymore, or figuring out your strategies of how you might be dealing with a bully or someone who seems like a tyrant, or somebody who is in a position of power over you that is not using their energy in a fair way. It's very important to remember through this process that although it's very easy to look at someone and say that person is a tyrant or a bully, we have to remember that you are drawing them into your field as a chance for empowerment to find out, what are they trying to show you? What are they trying to help you find your voice? Are they trying to help you find your confidence? Are they trying to help you get your strategy for how to deal with that? Are they helping you to set a boundary? And probably the answer to all of that is yes. Okay, that's going to be very big for Tauruses at this time. Okay, so now let's talk about the once in a lifetime placement. Oh, we already did that. Okay, so the Jupiter Neptune conjunction. Oh, actually, did we talk about that? I don't think we did. So Jupiter and Neptune are having their conjunction in Pisces. This hasn't happened in Pisces since 1856, so it's super rare. That's why I say it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And it's happening April 8th through 12th, but the orb runs from March through May, so we're still feeling it now. Everyone has a chance for a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence to happen through a friendship, through a meeting, through networking, through an internet-based project, humanitarian effort, group, social circle, social media, something like that occurring. And this is a favorable angle. So those of you who are between 18 degrees and 28 degrees, the closer to 23 degrees, the more potent and positive this will be for you. So that's going to be May 8th through May 18th, the closer to May 13th, the more you get that once in a lifetime goodie. But remember, everyone has chance to have once in a lifetime effects here. And then in the same general area, of the chart, we've got the Jupiter. Oh, and by the way, search for Jupiter-Neptune Conjunction, Annie Botticelli, and watch my very comprehensive video on the possible implications of this, just so you can kind of understand it better. We're talking about some things specific for Taurus, but you'll want to know about the general implications too, because this is a big one. Then we've got Jupiter sextile Pluto, May 1st through 5th, but it's in effect April through June. And again, those of you at the end of the sign, you've been hearing me say, you all at the end have a lot going on. Just note that everything else besides those things I'm pointing out is for everyone. You know, sometimes if there's something going on more for one of the sections, people say, well, what about me? The whole report is for you, unless I'm saying you might get extra attention in this late degree placement. Okay, so this is at 28 degrees. So those of you from 23 degrees to the rest of the sign, so that's May 13th through the rest of the sign, the closer to May 18th you are, the more you're likely to see the effects from the Jupiter-Pluto aspect, which is also going to be, you know, as we talked about with the eclipse. Okay, so everyone in that spectrum, you've got two Jupiter aspects and an eclipse that are very likely to tie directly in to your experience. All right, so Jupiter is going to be in Aries for a year. It's going to dip back a little bit into Pisces at the end of the year. But for the most part, Jupiter in Aries is not going to lose any effect and will be straightforward from May 2022 to May 2023. And now we're going to talk about what you might see from that transit over the next year. When Jupiter is in Pisces or the 12th house, we want to add all the Jupiter rules and all the Jupiter key points to the energies of Pisces in the 12th house and the energies of Neptune. And we will get the potential combinations of a Jupiter transit in that placement, which are unlimited types of manifestations, but I'll just show you how to apply the equation and you can start to understand this in a bigger way. So the 12th house is one of the houses of the unseen worlds, intuition, metaphysical studies, connections and communication with guides and angels and archangels and fairies and animals and elementals of all sorts, all become more important than tangible endeavors, okay? Or start to increase in importance. Conscious work through dream time is also very much indicated now, and an expansion of intuition in your relationship with intuition is, you know, a really, really big piece. Any dream work that you do, lucid dreaming, anything having to do with using your dreams to heal, to access your subconscious mind, the collective unconscious, is all very well indicated now. Your dreams might be more vivid, and you having productive outcomes from them are also more likely. Past life regression, hypnosis, working with subliminal recordings, things like affirmations and divination tools and processes, and other forms of deep inner work that work on your psyche but also acknowledge the connectedness to all things, meditation, are amazingly beautifully accentuated at this time. And you might notice that synchronicities are likely to increase and become your norm. Synchronicity is one of the big languages of spirit. It's the way spirit communicates to us to tell us that we're on the right track. And your awareness of synchronicities and your relationship to and communication with are more likely to increase. So the awareness that there's a cosmic soup from which everything springs, you know, the Akashic records, all of these things are areas that are highlighted that Jupiter will diversify, bring luck to, bring amplification in addition to, and could even bring some excess. And you could change your philosophies. So meaningful interactions with others may have a more spiritual basis. This is also a time for things behind the scenes. So people could be working in your favor and you won't even know it. You taking on more of a focus on privacy and protection and security is also, more likely now. Clandestine relationships, interactions, projects, the need or drive to protect something that you're working on or someone that you're connecting with might be, an area of focus for you. So this time is a time to lay the groundwork within the deep recesses of your being and behind closed doors, doing it behind closed doors, so that when the time comes to present your new offerings or your way of being or your awarenesses, then you will be rested and ready. And this is a time of rest and retreat. So understanding this can be very important. If you are usually ambitious and Jupiter is transiting in this space and you are not ambitious now, this could be why, because it's a placement of inner ambition. It's a time of rest and renewal and retreat and sabbatical and asking deep questions and pondering and feeling. Quiet time and time spent in nature. We mentioned meditation, prayer, silence are all really supported and expanded, amplified by Jupiter at this time. So Jupiter's presence here brings enrichment to your inner world in a way that makes it feel more real than aspects of your, more tangible experience. Well, the 12th house in this Pisces energy can also rule fears. So you could have an increase in anxiety and fear that comes up, but again, Jupiter's presence here is bringing benevolence and protection to help you remember that you can rid yourself of fear and step more fully into faith and trust, because it does actually also rule faith, this area. Okay, and the more you can conquer your addictions and fear, the more free you will be, right? So there could be a lot of grace in this situation of addictions, and I don't mean just the addictions of the senses that we tend to use that word for. I mean addictive thought patterns or criticism of self or the addiction to fear. All of those things can be blasted through, and your connection to the higher power and your latent inner power can profoundly change your perspectives. And understanding that the profound effects of changing your perspective can completely change your life. So we've got art and creativity and artistic endeavors expanded as well. And this 12th house rules the connectivity of all things. So it's the place where we are all one. And the belief in that, the feeling in that, the knowing of that, the blurry boundaries between life and death and us and someone else. There's this commingling energy can be amplified in very fulfilling ways, and also can be excessive, and you might have to set some boundaries and clear your energy to try to get, own your personal space a bit more. Okay, so I've given you lots to work with to help you make the most of the energies this month and to help you understand the energetic patterns at work and play. And if you'd like more resources, I've got all of these here. You can additionally go to the little more button, the little arrow underneath the bottom right of the video. Click on that, and all of the links that I'm giving you here will be clickable, right? So if you're looking for reading options, including a beautiful, very detailed 45-minute audio of your birth chart for $33 from my brilliant husband, you can find that at anniebclarity.com. You can go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter. This is where you can access running a free birth chart. This is where you access my 28-day in-depth virtual coaching program called Shine for free. This is also where you'll find tons of blogs, and you get lots of other perks for being on my newsletter list. If you're looking for written horoscopes by me, always up a month early, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. If you haven't seen this site, go to it. It is so beautiful. We've got me and my team have lots of amazing astrology-inspired blogs and healthy living blogs. We've got hypnosis for all the signs. We've got healing frequencies for all the signs. I've got the written horoscopes that I write. We have yoga for all the signs. So it's just a very beautiful, comprehensive site. If you're looking for free courses on how to manifest money and wellness, you can go to lumlife.com, my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, LUMLIFE. You can also find my astrology education courses here, including my behemoth of a master course called Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course, which you can fully utilize even if you don't want to be a professional astrologer, but it certainly will get you up to the level where you could be and show you how to make your business a success. And payment plans are available there too. Now, I've also got 2 books out and more on the way. Planetology, How to Align with the Natural Rhythms of the Universe. You will find this on the bookshelves in all major booksellers, including all the Books A Million, all the Barnes & Nobles. It's right there on the shelf. Plus, you can get it on Amazon and through any independent bookseller. And you can find Radical Prayer on Amazon, and you can order it anywhere as well. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.